An insider has just dropped a bombshell Boston Bruins report as they are looking at a new superstar to add to this team in this year's free agency. We're going to be taking a look at that, as well as a very sneaky addition that the Bruins are now confirmed to be in on in the KHL, and what Marco Sturm can do to influence this move. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video, going over why some of these signings here are things that the Bruins need to act on very quickly. But before we do get into it, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we're on the road to 7K, and you guys have been crushing it as of late. Your sport's been absolutely insane, and we're currently less than 50 subscribers away from 7,000. So if you're watching this video, you're looking for your Boston Bruins news, and you haven't already hit that button, be sure to do so. I'm going to have you updated with everything Boston Bruins as we are closer to the draft now than ever. We have a lot of news to cover and a lot more stuff coming, but that's going to be for a later date. Be sure to hit the sub button. Stick around if you're looking for all of that. But let's get into this video here. We're going to start off with a look from Daily Faceoff's Frank Saravallia. This is what he had to say in a recent Daily Faceoff article. I wonder if they can take a run at, and I know it's not a center, but they do take a run in free agency at replacing someone or some of the goals scored by Jake DeBrusk. Do they go after Brock Besser? An interesting kind of Vancouver swap is what that would be. Now, Frank Saravalli put this out regarding the Boston Bruins. Could they be interested in a guy like Brock Besser, who, although is not a center as he mentions, is certainly going to be the type of player that the Bruins still need to add? And yes, the number one move right now that needs to be made is going to be a center. Whether that is going to be addressed in draft, whether it's going to be addressed in a trade, or whether it's going to be addressed in free agency. The Bruins have a lot of money to spend. They need some goal scoring, but they also need center. So keep that in mind when it comes down to it. And we're going to kind of go into a few reasonings here why. But I think it's fair to say now that when we go and take a look at it, this is from a Vancouver Canucks article, they're saying that not only will he be leaving the club, but it's been known, but he's not going to be re-signing. He's not going to be coming back to this team. I feel like that's what a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans are really thinking. That's what the Canucks seem to be kind of preparing for here in this offseason, that Brock Besser will not be with this team. Now, Brock Besser has already garnered quite the crowd of teams that are going to be looking at him. There's been reports that the Vancouver Canucks going to be not signing him, and the Minnesota Wild are going to be very, very close to signing him already. And these reports, of course, are something that the Bruins definitely have to take into consideration if they are even in on Brock Besser. Of course, this is from Frank Saravalli, so we're not hearing this from the team in specific or any specific team reporter, so I still want to think you take this with a grain of salt, but I want to know what you guys think about Brock Besser, because, when we do look at him, he is a great player. He's been through a lot of ups and downs in his career, but he's certainly on a high one right now. 75 games played this year, 50 points, 18 minutes average time on ice, so playing first, second line minutes, wherever you want to really put him. But as a right winger, he would likely be on that second line there behind David Pastrnak. But when you see him at a 59% Corsi as well, he was playing very, very good this year on the defensive side of the puck as well. And at 28 years old, you have to wonder if he would be a fit for the Boston Bruins, if the Bruins would even consider going for a signing like Brock Besser, who, although is not immediately filling the need, it is a big need that they have on a goal-scoring, depth center or a depth winger as well, which we do have some, but nobody that can put the puck in the back of the net like Brock Besser. Now, when we do go take a look at the offense here, and of course, Fabian Lysell, Mark Kastelik, and Matt Poitras currently are on the right side here on this list, and we know that Kastelik and Poitras, both centermen. So, whether or not Casey Middlestat gets traded, whether or not we see someone else move over to the wing, move someone else in the middle, there's a lot of questions being raised from the Bruins standpoint as to what they're going to be doing from in-house at center. But moving, of course, Mark Kastelik and Matt Poitras to the middle is something that I feel like they need to do, of course, at some point. Whether or not it's going to be to start the season, I think is a big question as well. But slotting in Brock Besser here on realistically either wing you want to put him on the second line, I think it's absolutely fine, because we know that Geeky's going to be here on the left wing, number one, again, when he does get re-signed. And, of course, we need to see him re-signed. We hope he gets re-signed, but, of course, there's been crazier things that have happened. But when we do go and take a look at Brock Besser's projected cap here by AFP Analytics and of ScotiaStat, cap wages, 6 by $8.4 million. That is a big price to pay for a winger who will be on the second line. A winger who, you also have to pay Morgan Geekie. Now, Morgan Geekie won't be getting this amount, but he certainly will be getting a quite big chunk of change. I think the projections are around $6 million, also by AFP. So it kind of puts into perspective that the Bruins are going to be having to spend a good bit in-house, and then if they want to go and get a center, and they also want Brock Besser, there's going to be a lot of money allocated to two wingers who are not going to be helping the middle. So let me know what you think about this signing. I think it's kind of up in the air about what people want to do here, but I don't think it's a bad one by any means. And I think that although, as I mentioned, he's not a center, it is a very big hole that needs to be filled, but the center is certainly, at least right now, the most important things that they need to address. So let me know what you think about that here. But when we jump into our next kind of topic here, this is also relating to free agency. It is another winger, but it is one that the Bruins have been confirmed in on and is very interesting by terms of who's going to be available, not just in the NHL free agency, but the KHL free agency. And when we do go take a look here at what Robert Chalmers had to say here from Cortex Hockey, they have signed Maxim Shabanov to their agency as he's going to in his NHL career. Robert Chalmers says this: hearing this decision will come soon. Yes, the Bruins are interested. So having a guy like Maxim Shabanov, which will jump into his stats here from the KHL, and being labeled as the next Russian superstar is something that the Bruins seriously need to consider once again. Now, there's a few reasons why this could be a much bigger signing, a much more important signing than it may seem like, or at least a free agent in this case, that he is young. He will be getting, not anything crazy amount of money, and he is only 24 years old, I believe. And when we do go take a look at his stats here, you see in the KHL, he's been a very, very solid player over the last few years. 67 points in 65 games this year, playing in the KHL over the last nearly 4 seasons. And at 24 years old, he's putting up some phenomenal numbers. 21 games in the playoffs this year, 20 points. Going last year, 14 games played in the playoffs, 11 points. He's been very consistent in a league where we know is just almost as good as the NHL. And at 24 years old, he's already showing that he is a very, very valuable player that will be making an NHL debut at this season. Now, a big part of him is he's 5'8", 156. He's not the biggest guy, but he is a very, very good forward, a very good offensive talent. And of course, I can't show highlights here for him, but I do recommend going to take a look at him and kind of getting an idea of what he's like. And a lot of people are kind of comparing him to the situation that we did see Kirill Kaprizov in. Of course, Maxim Shabanov was not drafted, but Kirill Kaprizov was a 6th rounder, but coming over a bit later, 24 years old, 25 years old, and going to be making a big splash in the NHL. There's many teams on him, but the fact that the Bruins are one of them is a massive addition. Now, one thing I did want to add as well is when it comes down to comparing these signings and putting Marco Sturm into this idea, Brock Besser's a guy that's already developed. You know what you're getting, Brock Besser. And when you're looking at the Bruins cap space, they do have $26 million to spend. So you allocate $6 million to Morgan Geekie, nearly $9 million there to Brock Besser. You're sticking with around $10 million there to spend, and $11 million. And that's not a lot of money for a team that's looking to get back into the playoffs. And that's when a guy like Maxim Shabanov comes into play. He won't be commanding that much money. He still has a lot of time to develop at only 24 years old, have not played North American hockey. So, it's a much more, I would say, skilled kind of different game over there in the KHL compared to the NHL, but it's still a very, very big difference. And I think that Marco Sturm, a European coach, can really go out and help a guy like Maxim Shabanov translate to the NHL very, very well. And with the cap space that the Bruins have, Shabanov may seem like the much better player when Brock Besser still a very good option, but creates a lot of problems that could arise in free agency. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I feel like there's a few options here that we really haven't talked about much about free agency yet, as the draft is coming very, very soon. We're seeing a lot of trades. We're seeing a lot of stuff like that. Whatever's going on with the New York Islanders, we're still keeping tabs on that. No updates as of now, but I will bring you all of those here throughout the week as we get closer to the draft. We're going to have a live stream sometime this week as well, so if you're looking for all of your Boston Bruins news, hit this up button. And remember, we're on the road to 7K. Your sport's been absolutely incredible lately, and I appreciate every single one of you guys watching this video. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing up, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.